Joining us now, Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich. Okay, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us again.
Thanks, Liz.
We've got this House Republicans warning that the White House may start using Amtrak trains to send illegal immigrants into U.S. cities, along with secret domestic air flights at night. This is a secret and expansive catch-and-release program, the GOP says. What do you think of this?
We've discussed this before, that American taxpayers are paying the cost for the incompetence and the lawlessness of the Biden administration. And remember, just last year, we found out that the Biden administration was spending $87 million of our hardworking tax dollars to house 1,200 illegal immigrants throughout the southern border. So this is just in a continuation of the Biden administration incentivizing and monetizing people breaking the law. And think about this, Liz. There's a lot of Americans that couldn't take summer vacations this year because they couldn't afford airline travel, and yet the Biden administration is rewarding people that broke the law by entering the country illegally with free flights.
So we've got 24 House Republicans sending a letter to Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas. He keeps saying we're transparent. The White House keeps saying we're transparent. We still do not know how much American taxpayer money is being used to pay these NGOs to do all of this, to fly and now put on Amtrak trains the illegal border crossers into U.S. cities. And you have 1,000 of them were using arrest warrant and deportation notices in order to board these flights instead of approved forms of ID, whereas they're forcing ID on everybody else to use. So what do you make of this?
Well, think about this. I don't know if you've traveled recently, but my goodness, TSA practically strip searches you when you go through, the TSA line. And yet, if you're in the country illegally, they're letting you get on a flight even without ID. I mean, I think the Biden administration's illegal immigration policies are not only encouraging frequent flyers, but they're encouraging frequent liars within the administration. And so they've been lying to the American public. They've been making misrepresentations. And until the Biden administration cares more about middle America and American taxpayers versus Central America, we're not going to resolve this problem, and it's going to continue to grow. And we're paying the cost, not only financially, but don't forget, Liz, a record amount of fentanyl is flowing into this country every single day. And in fact, just in the past 2 weeks, there's been enough fentanyl seized that could potentially kill the entire population of the United States.
And it's now the leading cause of death for young Americans. We have an NPR poll. It shows a majority of Americans do believe there's, quote, an invasion at the border. Nearly 5 million estimated to have arrived since Biden took office. That's the size of New Zealand or Ireland. Anywhere from up to 22 million already here in the U.S. That's according to MIT. But this is interesting. Take this on. Governor Ron DeSantis' administration, there are reports coming in they have not yet started busing undocumented immigrants out of Florida to other parts of the country, in part because the governor says the White House has stopped sending them to Florida. Is that true?
Well, Governor DeSantis has been a leader on so many issues, including pushing back against the Biden administration. And I think this is a lesson. We've seen this in Texas. We're seeing it in Arizona, where if you allow these East Coast cities to experience what we've been experiencing for the last year and a half, as a result of the chaos the Biden administration has created, it will eventually force the ivory tower liberals to actually do something and force the Biden administration to start enforcing the law and stop this flood of legal immigration that's coming into our country.
So the way to stand up is say no. We're not going to do it. That's what Governor DeSantis is. But Governor Kathy Hochul and other states are not saying no.
They will say no when their state is overwhelmed. We just saw this recently where there were several thousand illegal immigrants that were sent to D.C. and all of a sudden it was a crisis. I mean, New York City now is putting up, we've got a homelessness problem in this country, including New York City, and yet they're putting up people that have illegally entered our country into five-star hotels. I mean, this is absolutely crazy. This is why so many American, hardworking, middle-class American taxpayers have had it with Washington, D.C., because it's out of touch with what normal people are experiencing.
Not sure they're five-star, but there are hotels in New York, like this, in 8th Avenue and Midtown. I mean, so that's been a problem. So where does this end up? Final word.
where it's going to end up in more courtrooms, and that's why I continue to sue the Biden administration, whether it's forcing them to build the wall. But until the federal government gets serious, until they start prosecuting people for illegally entering the country and stop giving them taxpayer benefits, whether it's health care, whether it's education, or now free flights, this problem will not end.
Mark Brnovich, thanks for joining us, Attorney General of Arizona. Good to see you.